I'm Declan Traynor, and you're very welcome to the second episode of the Virginia Roundup. Coming up on the Roundup today, I'll be talking to Sharleen O'Reilly, who's a training facilitator at the Rural Hub in Virginia, to find out what they do and the services that they provide. Also, we'll keep you up to date on all that's going on in Virginia on the Community Noticeboard. And if you're thinking about getting back in shape or perhaps losing a few pounds, well, personal trainer Gary Brazil from Age Defy Fitness will be here with some tips on just that. And if you're a student looking for accommodation for the coming college year, well, you won't want to miss our interview with Maeve Hogan, the Chief Executive of the Property Services Regulatory Authority, with some timely advice on how to avoid being scammed by bogus letting agents.
The Virginia Roundup.
If you've ever gone to Virginia Shopping Centre, you've probably passed the offices of the Rural Hub, and maybe you've wondered what goes on inside. Well, I'm here with Sharleen O'Reilly from the Rural Hub to tell us a little bit about what they do. Thanks for joining us on the Virginia Roundup, Sharleen. First of all, could you tell us a little bit about who the Rural Hub is and what you do?
Yeah, so thanks so much, Declan, for having us on. So I think people get a little bit confused on who we are and, as I said, and where we are. We're actually one of 3 companies here in Virginia Town, which are all non-profits. So we have, of course, our community group, which is the Rural Hub, which everybody probably knows us as or has seen us out and about in the community in Virginia over the past maybe couple of years. We also have 2 other non-profits called Future and Perspective and Spectrum Research. But as I said, the Rural Hub is kind of the main community one that we would be known as. So, well, as you said, who are we and what do we do? First of all, my name is, as you said, is Sharleen, and I'm one of the training facilitators here. We also have Sorka Coyle. She would also be another trainer that we have who's coming onto our team recently, which is fantastic. We would kind of be the faces. We're the ones you'd see out and about in the town and at these events. In total, there's 16 of us. We have 14 here in our office, as you said, just beside Feel Good Bikes in the Virginia Shopping Centre units. We have a lovely little community space down there, and upstairs we have the office where we have our management team. They make everything possible. They are our finances, kind of our background kind of work. We have project managers, graphic designers, web developers, our training facilitators, and our photographer and videographers. So these are the people who make what we do possible. And what we do basically, to really get into it, the little bit of the background of it is that we do community projects which are funded through Erasmus Plus, which is an EU incentive. So we apply for applications. The projects are 2 years long, and they're on an absolute wide range of topics. We do everything and anything with everybody and everyone in the community. Topics kind of that we cover which is very important at the minute, and a very big popular one at the minute, is obviously mental health and wellness. So we do topics such as consent, bullying, online safety, substance awareness. We have fantastic classes downstairs which are just for people to mingle. You know, if you're somebody in the local area who is feeling a little bit isolated, maybe you're new to the area, you don't know many people, maybe you're a mum who's out of work at the minute, you just want to come in and meet new people, you know, you're not used to being out of work hours, anything like that. They're free, they're accessible, and it's just come in, do something nice, have a chat, a cup of tea.
And you offer a wide range of programmes. What are some of the most popular initiatives you've had in the past?
So with the free classes and the community events that we do, I have to say we had a fantastic one back there in March, which was for International Women's Day. We had a makeup masterclass with Bronwyn from 1111 just here also in the shopping centre, and that was the biggest turnout we've ever had. It was actually the only event we didn't register. Normally we'd register and have a cap. We probably should have, because we ended up having to turn people away. We had nearly 60, 70 women coming in to have a look. We had some of the local women, it was all to do with women entrepreneurs and women business people in the town. We had, you know, Catherine Flynn there, the nutritionist. We had Maureen, who does acupuncture. We had Pauline Clark, my new. We had absolutely everything. Women came in, seeing these women in work. They explained their businesses, and we had the makeup day. It was fabulous. We had women coming from Navan. We had women coming from the far side of Cavan. And like obviously we let them in because it's such a trek, but we ended up having to actually put on a second event then in May, just to follow through. So yeah, as we said, it's just that's just fun on the women's side of it. We find at the moment a lot of our classes and a lot of our events are attended by women. That's not intentional. I think they're the ones who are kind of available during the day at those hours. But we would like to just let men in the community know as well, you know, whether you're part of the men's shed, whether you're a dad at home, or whether maybe you are in between jobs, or you're just out and about, want to get to know people. Our classes are for men too. As we said, we have done classes kind of around meditation. We've done first aid trainings. We've done art classes. We have a lot coming up in September. We have closed for the summer at the minute, but from September 9th, if you keep a lookout on our Facebook page, which hopefully we'll link here somewhere, or it's called the Rural Hub just on Facebook, we are starting up classes coming up in September, and they're going to be digital classes on a Tuesday between 10 and 12. So whether, we're not too sure just yet what that's going to entail, but it's going to be something like, if you're not sure how to set up email addresses, somebody's going to show you. If you need somebody to show you how to use social media, if you need somebody to show you how to maybe do your taxes, all these kind of things on these portals online, there's going to be somebody to show you how to do them. On a Tuesday evening, we're also going to be setting up a bridge club, so like a card club. You're more than welcome to come along. Wednesdays are always called our Wellness Wednesdays. We're hoping to get in kinesiology. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. We will be having kind of wellness. It's all about your mental health, your physical health, things like that. And on Thursdays, we also have a crochet class. So our crochet class has been amazing. We set that up in September with a lovely lady, Mary, who is currently retired. She set out to do it for 6 weeks and she's never been allowed to leave since. So we had to take the summer off to give her a bit of a break. But she'll be back now in September to keep going again. People see us in the community and we do the events mostly in Virginia Library. And we do have our classes downstairs, but we want people to know as well that we actually do one-to-one training as well. And whether it's, and again it's with the whole community, we do one-to-one and it's all free CPD training for businesses. We do free CPD training for youth clubs or any club or society in Virginia Town, whether it's the tiny towns, whether it's something like that. We will come in and we provide free training for your staff, or it could be something that you want your attendees to benefit from. So as we said, we do a massive range of topics. I said we do employability skills. So if you're a business and you're looking for, or you're somebody who's not working, maybe you'd like to contact us and see if we can pop on a class, or we can invite you to a class on maybe digital skills, how to use AI, ChatGPT, how to set up your own business, introducing hybrid working. That's what and all of our resources are all educational. They're all free, they're all accessible, they're all online, and we basically train you up to train your staff, or we can come in and do that workshop with your group ourselves. As we said, we do integration projects, which is I think very topical at the minute, whether that's with community groups ourselves, we integrate together, we collaborate together, or whether that's with minority groups. But what we want to do is we basically just want people in the community, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, your age, your gender, anything like that, to be involved. And we do it always in a fun, interactive and educational way, as we said. We also do things on climate change, like ecotourism, permaculture. So if you're in the Scouts, tidy towns, anything like that, we literally have something for everybody.
And you talk there obviously a wide range of topics. How do you identify the needs of the community and decide on what courses you run, or is there a particular... Is it based on the needs, or is it just a set timetable of events you'd have?
So this kind of goes back to the applications. So as I said, we're completely EU funded, and it's through the Erasmus Plus project. So when my manager is making an application for funding, she works with other companies across the EU. So it is ourselves, but we also partner with other companies across the EU. And it would be whatever topics that the EU has themselves seen is
a priority.
Yeah. So at the minute, as we said, a massive priority, which a lot of projects we're coming up with at the minute, is people with additional needs, the kind of green skills, because that's obviously something the EU is trying to push and improve on at the minute. Again, AI, technology, all that kind of stuff. So that seems to be a very big thing at the minute. And of course, mental health is always there. And young people. So they seem to be the same things that we're seeing reoccurring. But there's always a different maybe twist on it. As we said, it's always the same kind of topic, the same kind of target group, but there could be, as you say, a different kind of factor towards it.
From a different angle on it.
Yeah, or a different resource. Like you might say, for example, it was bullying, very broad. You might be in with young people. Whereas you could have one project about, say, misinformation online. You could have another project which is talking about cyberbullying. You could have another project talking, they're constantly changing, or they'd have a specific kind of niche tunnel that they go down for each of the projects.
What would be the biggest challenges you see in rural areas based on the courses you're asked to run, or the applications you get?
Look, I don't mean it in a bad way. I think there's a lot of challenges, unfortunately. I think, you know, people being able to get to these things. Like, as we say, and we spoke about it before we began this podcast, we put on fantastic classes, and we kind of do it in Virginia and maybe kind of Cavan town as well, but it's people having the ability to get to these, you know, like public transport's not great, it's the time of the day, you know, as in the events we put on are normally during the day, so if you're working, if you're a parent, childcare, you know, things like that, like all those kind of things affect people. And as I said, if you're an elderly person and maybe that's somebody who's been more isolated, especially in the countryside, they find it very difficult to get into our events, which can be quite hard. And as well, it's getting the word out that we're here, even though we're here since 2009, believe it or not. People still go, oh, didn't realise you were there, oh, didn't realise you're doing that, and we're constantly still making new contacts all the time. So it's to put our name out there, to let organisations know that we're here, we're open, we're free, we want to help, we want to be in the community, and we want to collaborate with other groups within the town. And we'd love to get out and about and meet new people, as we said, and start sharing what we're doing. Do that kind of that's kind of the hardest bit.
And for you personally, as a trainer, there must be very rewarding aspects of your job.
Definitely, especially, you know, as you say, like there's some topics that I'd have my own personal interests in, and then there's some topics Sorka takes on the AI and the technology, because I'm dreadful at it. But I have my own background before I started this job, and I worked in early years, so I have a love for kids, I have a love for young people. So when it comes to the schools and the youth groups, I just love it. And you know, you can go into some groups and you're working with maybe children who might be of a disadvantaged background, or they might be going through a hard time, or they might be, you know, stereotyped in bits and pieces. But when sometimes you do some of these activities with them, or you're opening up the conversations with them, and they're amazing, do you know, that kind of, and you realise, oh my God, they really get it. Or, do you know, even sometimes what we do, they're way ahead of it, do you know, that kind of, and sometimes they end up teaching me things, which is great, and then that comes back and we put it back into our projects as well, and we go forward with it. But some of the stories and the people that you meet as well, do you know, that can be quite inspirational. You know, there's days we come back here and some of the messages we get off people, and they're like, thanks so much for coming out, and thanks so much for making a difference, or thanks for doing that talk, or thanks for doing what you do, you know, and it does mean a lot. I'm going to get emotional, I think, of it, but it does mean a lot, but sometimes it's quite difficult because you feel like you're not doing enough, do you know? And
I suppose, as you say there, some people may be isolated, whether it's they're living in a country, or maybe they're just isolated in the sense they don't have family or they don't have any visitors, and just that engagement, I suppose, probably means so much to them as well. Yeah,
and there's times, like as you say, like, you know, it's all well and good to say, and we are a business and your event is from this time to this time, but the classes downstairs, we just say that they're from 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock during the day, but you know, you'd still have people there at 1 o'clock still having the chats, and they don't want to go out the door, and we'd never push them out the door, do that kind of, and because they just need somebody to talk to. And we've had people come to the classes, and they come to nearly all of our classes sometimes, and they say it is honestly the only time during the week where they get to speak to people.
So a social outlet.
Which is, I think it's great. We feel amazing we can provide that, but that's what kind of drives us to kind of even do more. We were only doing last year the Wednesdays and Thursdays, and now we're upping it to the Tuesdays as well. And as we said, we're hoping it's going to build and grow and just keep going from that, and which is amazing.
And as you say, not just business classes as such, there's fun and hobby classes like bridge, crochet, makeup.
Yeah, we do absolutely everything and anything. As we said, I'm just on the spot now. I'm trying to think of what we did last year. We had like talks in from Marie Keating on breast cancer. We've had nutritionists come in and talk about healthy eating, and you get to do like really fun interactive air fryer demonstrations. Like, what do you cook that's healthy in your air fryer that's cheap? We've done hair, like how to do a blowout in your hair, things like that. We've done, as I said, art classes. We got Sandra in from Crafts of Ireland here. She's very local as well, and we do felt art, pebble art, just everything and anything. So as we say, we're always looking for people to come in as well, that if anybody in the community does do things like this or feels like they could come in and do a workshop, again, we're always looking for people to come in and bring new things, just to keep it going and relevant and exciting for people as well.
And
so
I suppose for people who are thinking maybe of doing the course, come along and try it, because you might enjoy it, or you probably will enjoy it, or it might be something you suddenly realise you have a talent in.
Exactly. And as we say, like, you know, if you come one day and you don't like it, it's not for you, that's 100%, but we change them up every 6 to 8 weeks as well. So when when you look on our Facebook now in September, you'll see maybe a 6-week block. And then maybe 3-4 weeks into that, you'll see what's coming up for the next week, 6 weeks. So we're always changing them. It's never like 6 weeks of the one thing, bar the crochet and the digital skills. But on the Wednesdays, our Wednesdays always chop and change. And and as we said, like when we say wellness, like it could be, I think, at Christmas, like making a Christmas wreath. You know, it's just like arts and crafts, doing a hobby, taking time for yourself. As we say, that is your wellness.
It's just getting away from the normal hustle bustle of everyday life.
As I said, and even if you don't want to take part, you can still come in and have a cup of tea.
And for most of the events, would you have to book in advance?
Yes, so if you're looking to join one of our classes or come along, as we say, it's all free. We are, at the minute, we have a phone number that you just text your name and your email, and that's it. You're put on a list. They do book out fast, so we'll give you the heads up. We can only take so many people in our space, but you'll be put onto a waiting list then. But we are going to trial out in September, maybe an Eventbrite, just to see how that goes. But we always put a poster up on our Facebook, and if you've come to our classes before, we always take your email, so you'll also, or your phone number if you have one, if you don't have an email, and you'll always be emailed, text, or you'll see our event on our Facebook. And again, all you do is just text to say that you want to come, and if you can't make it that morning, that's cool, and then we just text whoever's on the waiting list to come on in.
So contact details mainly through Facebook, would it be, or if you have a website?
We have websites, so they're actually being updated and kind of completely changed up to kind of show what we're doing. We're hoping to have them up, kind of updated in September. So that's just the Rural Hub online. We also have then our Facebook, the Rural Hub, and we also have, if you want to get in contact, as you said, for training, if you're a business or if you're a youth group or an organisation, you want to talk about collaborations, talk about some of our projects, workshops we can do, you have my email, which is Sharleen, SHARLEEN @ruralhub.ie, or you have Sorcha, which is SORCHA @ruralhub.ie. Or, as you say, you can get in contact through Facebook. Rachel, our social media coordinator, will always pass your information on to us as well. So we're here. You can knock on the door, that too.
And I suppose if someone just does a search for the Rural Hub Virginia or the Rural Hub Cavan, they'll find you. On Google, you come up, you'll see our website will be the first one, and our Facebook will be the second one. Well, hopefully today we've helped to lift the mystery of what goes on behind the Rural Hub. So Sharleen O'Reilly, thanks very much for joining us on the Virginia Roundup.
Thank you for having me.
And many thanks to Sharleen for making me feel so welcome at the Rural Hub. And don't forget to keep an eye on the Rural Hub's Facebook page or their website, theruralhub.ie, for details of upcoming events. And of course, we will keep you in touch with any upcoming events on our Community Noticeboard here on the Virginia Roundup. Now, if you've ever contemplated losing a few pounds or maybe getting back into shape, well, our next feature is just for you. This is a new slot on how to get healthy, and stay fit. And to give you more information, we hand you over to personal trainer Gary Brazil.
I'm Gary Brazil, owner of Gary Brazil Age Defy Fitness, a Dublin blow-in who is a personal trainer and living in the Virginia area for 17 years. I coach people at SG Elite Gym in Cross. I also run online transformation programs and lead group fitness classes in the area. If I had €1 for every time somebody said to me, Gary, how do I lose weight? I'd be recording this from a beach in Lanzarote, sipping a fancy protein shake. This is hands down the most common question I get from clients, family, friends, random fellas in the gym, fellas at weddings over 3 pints and suddenly want to drop a stone by next Friday. So today I'm giving you a simple, no-nonsense guide to losing weight. Without gym memberships, magic powders, starvation diets, or giving up your entire social life. Today, we're going to cover how your body burns calories even when you're doing nothing, how to figure out your daily calorie needs, and how to actually lose weight without losing your mind, and how to start doing it all from right where you are, kitchen, couch or car. Now, quick disclaimer before we dive into it. I'm a personal trainer. I am not a doctor. I've helped a lot of people lose weight without fad diets or fluff. But if you've got health issues, take medication, or just haven't had the checkup in a while, talk to your GP before starting any new plan. It's better safe than sorry, okay? Right, let's go into it. Did you know that your body burns calories even when you're doing nothing? If you spend the whole day lying on the sofa, watching Netflix, ignoring text messages, and pretending you're doing the washing, your body's still burning calories. That's because your heart's beating, your lungs are breathing, and your brain is thinking. All of that takes energy. This is what we call your BMR. Write this down. BMR, basal metabolic rate. Basically a fancy name for the number of calories your body burns, just to stay alive. And the quick way to figure that out for you because it's individual for everybody, is for men, find out what your weight is in kilograms and multiply that figure by 22. For women, you multiply your kilogram weight by 20. So, for instance, if you're a man who's 85 kilos, when you multiply that figure by 22, you get 1,870 calories per day. That's your body's minimum fuel requirements. The keep the lights on calories, if you will. But of course, you're not lying in bed 24/7. Well, unless you're a teenager or you've had a pretty rough weekend. So that's where the next bit comes in. Your TDEE, write that down also. Your total daily energy expenditure. That's your BMR plus everything else you do in the day. Walking, hoovering, standing at the kettle, dancing badly at weddings, chasing after your kids. All of that uses energy. Now, in order to get your TDEE, you multiply your BMR by how active you are on a day-to-day basis. So 1.2, that's if you barely move. You could, for instance, have an office job, so you're not really on your feet much. 1.4 is where you're lightly active. You're on your feet here and there. Maybe you walk from the car to the office, takes about 10 minutes, walking around the supermarket. And then 1.6, that's if you're always on the go, a bit like me, busy, fidgety, never still. So using our 85 kilogram man with the BMR of 1870, let's say he's lightly active. So we multiply that figure by 1.4. That gives us 2618. That's the amount of calories that man needs to maintain the weight that he currently has. If he ate more than that, his weight is going to go up. But if he ate less, he's going to lose weight. So it's as simple as that. But this is where most people mess up. They think, okay, I want to lose weight. I'm going to eat like a rabbit. So they go from eating, say, 2,500 calories a day to 1,000. And they wonder why they're feeling tired, moody, and basically diving into the biscuit tin by the time Thursday comes around. The smarter way to lose weight is to knock off roughly 500 calories from your maintenance calories. So the guy who's 85 kilograms, who has the TDEE of 2600 calories a day, if he reduced his calorie intake by 500, so we're going to be around 2,100 calories a day, that's enough for him to lose half a kilo to a kilo a week without feeling like he's been sentenced to a food prison. And the best part with this is you can still eat your proper meals. You just need to know what's in them. And that brings us to tracking what you eat. Let's be honest, most people are guessing what they eat in terms of portion sizes and whatnot. They think they're eating healthy, but they forget about the milk and the coffee, the handful of nuts that they're eating maybe when they're stuck in traffic, or that sneaky slice of cheese that they cut off the block. So here's what I tell people, clients, friends, family, everyone who asks me. Track your food. Track what you eat for around 1 to 2 weeks. There's a lot of apps out there, free ones, and the one that you probably know is MyFitnessPal. Next thing, don't eyeball your portions of food because you're going to lie to yourself even without you meaning to. Get a digital food scale, even for just a few meals. Another very important one is to build your meals around protein. So have some protein for your breakfast, have some protein for your lunch and for your dinner. Chicken, turkey, tuna, eggs, Greek yogurt. Protein fills you up and it actually helps keep cravings down also. Another important one is to cut back on liquid calories. So your things, your fizzy drinks, your fancy coffees, your smoothies. They're what I call sneaky calorie bombs. And most importantly, keep it simple. 3 meals a day, maybe another snack. You don't need 17 small meals or just existing on lettuce and a bit of broccoli. And you don't need to be perfect. Just be consistent. So there you have it. Losing weight isn't about starving yourself or feeling that you have to work 2 hours a day in the gym or go for 20-kilometer walks. Obviously that helps, but when you're starting off, let's just keep to the basics. It's about understanding how your body works, being honest about what you're eating and being consistent. That's it. That's the magic formula. I'm Gary Brazil, and I'll see you on the next edition of the Virginia Roundup.
And many thanks to Gary for that. And don't forget, if you have any questions for Gary or any topics you'd like Gary to cover, you can email the virginiaroundup@gmail.com and we'll pass on your emails to Gary. And don't forget, you'll find Gary on Facebook, Age Defy Fitness with Gary Brazil.
The Virginia Roundup.
It's the time of year when the much anticipated Leaving Certificate results are issued and quickly followed by offers of college places. Depending on what course they pursued, many students will have to consider leaving home, and so the search for accommodation for the college year will begin. Now, this is also an opportunity for unscrupulous individuals to attempt to part students from their money by posing as fraudulent letting agents. Well, my next guest is here to provide some timely advice for those seeking student accommodation for the coming college year. Maeve Hogan is the Chief Executive of the Property Services Regulatory Authority, the PSRA, and she joins me on the line. Thanks, Maeve, for joining us here on the Virginia Roundup.
Thanks, Declan. Good to be with you.
And for those who may not be familiar with the PSRA, who are you and what is your function?
Yes, the PSRA is a statutory body. We are a decentralised office to Navan, so just over the border there from Virginia. We are a statutory body with responsibility for improving standards of estate agents, letting agents, management agents and auctioneers. And on the other side also we have a remit in relation to consumer protection. So the property services include the sales and lettings of houses and property. So also an auctioneer or an estate agent must be licensed by the authority. So on an annual basis, agents must renew their licence. We also have a remit in dealing with complaints about estate agents. So we, on average, get around 250 complaints a year. We have a role in auditing those businesses. So on every couple of years or so, we go out and about and we audit businesses. But from a consumer protection perspective also, we manage a compensation fund. So in the event that your licensed estate agent or auctioneer, for whatever reason, acts dishonestly, there is a compensation fund there to compensate you for your loss. So we have a wide remit in relation to the provision of property services across the country.
So being a statutory body, you're obviously enforcing legislation and the law effectively.
Yes, we have an act. We operate under an act and many regulations emanating from that act, including licensing, as I just mentioned. We have a role in relation to client money. So obviously a lot of money is passed through the hands of estate agents and that. So we have a role in ensuring that that money is accounted for and properly managed. Again, qualifications, regulations and licensing regulations. So there's a wide remit in relation to the statutory role that we hold.
And in relation to those searching for student accommodation, would you have seen an increase in the number of reports of bogus agents targeting students in the past number of years?
Sadly, yes. Annually, it is that time of year, as you outlined at the start there, that students start very early looking for accommodation. As we all know, property is scarce and particularly student accommodation probably more difficult to acquire. So the search, I would imagine, begins once the leaving cert is over. The search begins for that coveted accommodation close to the university for the hopeful students that hope they get a place in the local universities and colleges. So yes, sadly, people are fraudulently out there looking for soft targets in relation to defrauding people of their money. Sadly, yes, we have seen an increase in the number of complaints to the authority in relation to bogus letting agents. What I must say, first of all, is that where people own their own property, so we have plenty of people around the country who became accidental landlords. We're not talking about them. We don't regulate owners of properties. So we have plenty of landlords around the country that own their own properties. We do not regulate those. What we do regulate is where a letting agent is managing a property on behalf of the owner of the property, on behalf of the landlord. So they're required to be licensed. So we regulate that letting agent. So there are a lot of unlicensed people out there trying to fraudulently take money from students, really, hoping that they get accommodation close to their college or university of their choice. We do run media campaigns. We run both radio and social media campaigns advising students of the pitfalls in relation to avoid in relation to seeking accommodation. Again, the old adage, if something is too good to be true, it should be a red flag.
What kind of red flags should students look out for?
Well, check out if it's an agent that's advertising the property, check our publicly available register of licensees at psr.ie. Mm-hmm. Every licensed agent is listed on that register, and the details of their license, their name and the expiry date of their license is available there. So that's the first due diligence maybe they might look for. If it's unclear if it's a letting agent and somebody advertising the property, if it's no viewings are allowed, if they want it's all a cash deal. Mm-hmm. Now, there's nothing wrong with cash, but it's just to be alert that if they're looking for cash only, is there something behind that? And again, the students should do their due diligence. If they do go and view a property, ask a flood of questions of the person letting the property. Where's the local gym? Where's the local bus stop? Mm-hmm. Where's the local train station? If they're the owner of the property and they understand the area and they've lived in the area and know the area well, they should be very easily able to answer those questions. And if they hesitate, just to be aware that they're not as knowledgeable of the areas you think they should be if they own the property. So and also, bring along somebody who has a bit of experience, be it a parent, a guardian, along with you to view the property, so that there's maybe two of you there looking at the property and asking questions.
And I suppose an agent is not going to be offended if you appear to be suspicious of them. You're just, as you say, doing your due diligence.
Absolutely, yeah. And each of those licensed agents carry a license card with their picture on it and their name and expiry date of their license card, and asked to see that license card if they're a licensed agent, a letting agent that's letting the property. Asked to see that card. They won't be offended. It's part of their statutory remit when they become licensed by us that they must carry that license card with them when they're viewing properties. So that student that goes to view a property can ask to see that license card. Certainly they won't be offended, and they are expected to show that license card once requested.
And for lettings, on your website, there are different category of licenses for different services. So for lettings, it's a category C license. Is that correct?
That's correct. There are 4 license types. So the one students should be looking for is the C license. Many agents have all 4 license types. Some they only have 2. But definitely, if they're letting a property, they must have a C license to undertake that property service.
And you mentioned earlier on about the protections provided by the PSRA for somebody who's engaging with a licensed agent. Should something go wrong, they have the right to access to the PSRA complaints process and possibly the compensation fund. Yes,
exactly. And we do encourage that every opportunity through the media and social media campaigns we run, that if you have a concern or a complaint to make against a licensed agent, you should contact us at info@psr.ie. We welcome every complaint that's received. We assess it, whether it should go for investigation or not. We prioritise complaints relating to loss of money. If a student put down a deposit on a property and for whatever reason the licensed agent dishonestly dissipated that money, it's important that student is compensated for that particular booking deposit that they put on their property. So it's important that student isn't out of pocket due to the dishonesty of an agent. So we have a compensation fund as well if there's dishonesty that the student concerned could apply to. And again, we assess it on the basis of under the legislation where there was dishonesty on behalf of the licensed agent, and if there was, a grant can be made from the compensation fund to that student. So it's important that when you are dealing with a letting agent, that you ensure that they are licensed, because if they are not licensed, the consumer has no consumer protection under our legislation, under the PSRA legislation.
So the agent must be licensed at the time that the person was dealing with them?
Yes, exactly. They must be licensed. If they're not and they're unlicensed, we want to hear about it. So we'd appreciate if that person concerned would inform us of the details in relation to the unlicensed trading of that agent.
And just in relation to the compensation fund, again, it says on your website, the compensation fund only relates to occurrences where somebody loses money through the dishonesty of an agent. It doesn't cover negligence. That would be covered by the licensee's own insurance. Would that be correct?
Correct, yeah. The licensee is required to have professional indemnity insurance, PII insurance, which addresses issues relating to negligence. Our own compensation fund relates to dishonesty. So dishonesty if they fraudulently use clients' monies and the monies aren't available when the client either wants a refund or some additional monies have to be paid out of the client account, that the monies are gone, they're not in the client account. So in those circumstances, and it is a very tight conditions in relation to grants from the compensation fund, they relate to dishonesty only. So where, for instance, a licensed agent has fraudulently taken money out of the client account and it's not there for the student if they wanted a refund of their deposit, that's when the compensation fund kicks in.
And what are the potential consequences for individuals who are caught operating without a licence?
The authority has very strong powers in relation to prosecution of unlicensed traders, and we don't get them that very often now because people are fully aware that they must be licensed by the authority. But where we do find unlicensed traders, we do prosecute probably in the local district court, and we have a very strong success rate in relation to prosecution of unlicensed trading. Licensed agents are very quick to report unlicensed traders because there is a cost to being regulated by the authority. The cost of their licence fee and that, so they're not going to tolerate unlicensed trading in their area. So we do investigate and we have prosecuted, and it's up to the court then to sanction the unlicensed trader.
And I suppose the public also plays an important role in reporting suspected unlicensed operators. And what is the best way then for someone who suspects that there's an issue or concerns about unlicensed trading? What's the best way for them to contact the PSRA?
Yeah, and we do welcome any notification to ourselves about unlicensed trading, because we have a zero tolerance for unlicensed trading. So if the public out there come across an unlicensed agent, we want to hear about it through, if they could contact the PSRA at info@psr.ie, finding the details there, we will take it from there.
Yeah, and I suppose there are instances perhaps where people may suspect somebody is unlicensed, but there may be no need for that particular individual to have a license. You mentioned landlords, and there could be other situations. I suppose the PSRA can establish relatively quickly whether that person is trading legally or not, and there's no harm done if it's a situation where the person doesn't require a license.
Exactly. We welcome all correspondence in relation to any concerns that the public might have, and it's for us to investigate it thereafter. And as you say, if it's a situation where a license is not required, we're satisfied that a license is not required, and we can close that complaint. But where we're satisfied that there is more to be investigated, we can open up an investigation, and which may or may not result in a prosecution for unlicensed trading.
And any reports of unlicensed operators, they're all treated in strictest confidence. There's no information passed on to the trader about where the report came from.
Absolutely. It's the one type of complaint that we don't require you to identify yourself, give your name and contact details. It's something that we can investigate ourselves. So we definitely don't pass on your information to any other third party. It's done very confidentially. But again, it's the only type of complaint we will accept where it's anonymous, where the name and address of the person reporting the matter, it's not required.
And just getting back to the student accommodation, any other practical tips, and maybe we recap on the things that students should look out for when viewing a property and dealing with an agent? Obviously, checking for their license cards, checking the PSRA's website, psr.ie, for the register of licensees will be the main thing. And also, if you feel that the agent is pressuring you into making a decision there and then and handing over the deposit then and then, they should be the red flags you look out for.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I mean, looking for cash only payments can be a red flag. There is nothing, as I outlined earlier, nothing wrong with cash, but it's just there's no traceability if any issue occurs in relation to the deposit not being available if you want to refund it. Yeah, I mean, being pressurised, like the challenge is that there is limited student accommodation, so demand is high when supply is low. So there will be, a high demand for accommodation. So there will be pressure on students, to pay a deposit pretty quick. That's a given, just the environment in which we live in and the way the accommodation crisis is at the moment for both students and any other person. But to do your due diligence, ask questions. I mean, bring somebody along that will support you in asking a lot of questions about the accommodation. Who are the neighbours? What's the local facilities like? Getting a sense of that the person letting the property understands the area. Generally, when you're using a licensed agent, the licensed agent will have all that information for you. It's when you're not dealing with a licensed agent and you're dealing with maybe a landlord, and you suspect that they're not very familiar with the property, or they're putting an awful lot of pressure on you to hand over cash there and then on the spot. Or, another aspect might be that, you're told to turn up at a certain time and it's cancelled suddenly and without good reason. These are all flags that all may not be right or legitimate about this particular property. So maybe also to go and look at the area, look at the property outside of the viewing times. Just generally, is there anybody living if you were told there's nobody living in the apartment at the time of viewing, and then, you come back and visit and you understand, you notice, windows are open and there's movement in the apartment, that there's somebody in it. Okay. So, these are things that you can just follow up yourself to make yourself satisfy yourself that what you've been told at the viewing is true and correct.
I suppose you could always, if possible, maybe talk to some neighbours, people living in the area or living next door, either side.
Ask questions. Yeah, this is the thing. The youth of today won't ask questions, so maybe bring them along.
Bring the mammies and daddies. They be the ones with the checks.
The mammies and daddies and the grannies and granddads. They're great.
Yeah.
For out the young people. And again, it is a big deal. They're going to college for the first time possibly, and it's the first time living away from home, and it can be a bit daunting. So bringing somebody along that has a bit of experience and knowledge, it can always be helpful. It can't be a bad thing anyway.
And I suppose as well, just to mention, licensed or otherwise, agents shouldn't charge students or anyone else a fee to view a property or to get on a priority list or anything like that.
Correct, absolutely correct. The only person that the letting agent can charge is the person who hired them, and that's the landlord. The student visiting the accommodation, or the student signing a lease, or the student being required to pay additional fees, that is not allowed under the Property Service Regulation Act. for licensed agents. The licensed agent, the letting agent, can only charge the person who engaged them, which is the landowner, the owner of the property. Students should not be charged any additional fees to view a property or to sign a lease or any other fees for any other
admin fees, right? That, yeah.
In fees or anything, the student should be charged no additional fees other than maybe a deposit on the property and the month's rent.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose that the key message is literally to do your homework before you sign or hand over money.
Yeah, the students have done very well getting, the brilliant results that they have. They studied hard. So, do the exact same when you're seeking out a property. Do your due diligence, do your homework, ask the questions, and go prepared to ask as many questions as you can, and to do your due diligence around the area where the property is, and find out, as you say, talk to neighbours, talk to people in the area. What's the accommodation like? Is there any issues with the accommodation? That. So it's about doing due diligence and being satisfying yourself that the property is legit and the person you're dealing with is legit and honest. And hopefully things will work out that way then.
Okay, and finally, just a reminder of the PSRA's website and email address again, please, Maeve.
Yeah, we welcome correspondence from anybody, and we will treat every piece of correspondence independently, and we will review it. So if they want to contact the PSRA regarding a complaint or even a question in relation to licensed agents, it's info@psr.ie.
And the website is www.psr.ie.
That's it, yeah.
Maeve Hogan, Chief Executive of the Property Services Regulatory Authority, thanks for joining us on the Virginia Roundup.
Thanks, Declan.
And many thanks to Maeve Hogan for speaking to us here on the Virginia Roundup. Now it's time to check out what's happening around about Virginia on the Community Noticeboard. A new group meets once monthly in the Virginia Library for neurodiverse people who are over the age of 18 years. Its aim is to connect young adults in a social setting, form new friendships, and fulfill a service that is desperately needed for those who are neurodiverse and feel isolated from their community. They meet on the first Thursday of the month from 6 until 8 p.m. in Virginia Library. For more details, you can call or message NeuroGarden on 087 706 0205. After the phenomenal success of Knockbride Variety Show 2025, which raised an incredible €12,000 for charity across 4 unforgettable nights at Tunnyduff Hall in March, we're thrilled to return to the Ramar Arts Centre for a second year. It's another exciting production packed with outstanding music, hilarious comedy and boot-stomping line dancing. Under the expert direction of Terry Brady and the musical guidance of Thomas Hanley, get ready for an unforgettable night of entertainment delivered by an exceptionally gifted cast. Don't miss your chance to experience Knockbride Variety Show 2025 on Thursday the 11th and Friday the 12th of September at 8 p.m. at the Ramar Arts Centre. And also at the Ramar Arts Centre, Mill Race Drama Group presents A Wake in the West. Tom Healy has drunk himself to death and the play starts as the wake begins. His family and friends arrive to offer condolences and pay their respects. They plan his cremation, debate his last wishes, and the family have to deal with visitors to the wake who want to have their own piece of Tom. Tom's son Martin arrives from far away in America and renews his romantic interest in Joan, the next door neighbour. Visitors, including Barney, the neighbour who frequents the local pub, continue to arrive. After the events of the wake, will Tom be left to rest in peace? That's on Saturday the 20th and Sunday the 21st of September at 8 p.m. Baileyburgh Drama Group presents A&E by Henry Hudson, a gripping and darkly comedic play that delves into the chaotic world of a hospital's accident and emergency department. With a blend of humour and poignancy, A&E captures the frantic energy of life on the edge. This show sold out when it was performed in May for 2 nights, so it's back by popular demand and well worth seeing. That's on Friday the 29th and Saturday the 30th of August at 8 p.m. at Ramar Arts Centre. Deer Park Forest Park Run, Virginia is a free, fun and friendly weekly 5K community event. Walk, jog, run, volunteer or spectate. It's up to you. It takes place every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. at Deer Park Forest Park, entrance by Virginia Rugby Club off the R194. It's free, but please register before you first come along and don't forget to bring a scannable copy of your barcode. It's entirely organised by volunteers. If you'd like to volunteer, you can email deerparkforest@parkrun.com. The second-hand shop at Virginia Shopping Centre offers a wide range of clothes, jewellery, footwear, books, bric-a-brac and much more. And by shopping at the second-hand shop, you're also supporting So Sad Cavan. And if you're involved in a community group or club which you'd like to publicise, or you have an upcoming community or charity event, you can email the details to virginiaroundup@gmail.com. And that's the Virginia Roundup for this month. My thanks to all my guests on the podcast this month, to Sharleen O'Reilly and also to Rachel Riley from the Rural Hub, also to Gary Brazil from Age Defy Fitness, and to Maeve Hogan from the Property Services Regulatory Authority. And many thanks, as always, to you for listening. If you want to make contact with us, it's the Virginia Roundup at gmail.com, or you can also message us on Facebook, facebook.com/the Virginia Roundup. And please don't forget to like, subscribe and share and spread the word about the Virginia Roundup. We're back on the 15th of September. Until then, from Declan Traynor, bye-bye for now.